Hi guys, welcome to Mamemeister's High Score Kerfuffle Season 8. Compared to last season, there will be a few changes, but fundamentally the format will be the same. For anyone new, this is an arcade game high score challenge that will be coming out every 2 weeks on a Wednesday. For the last 2 seasons, we've been playing a game from each year of the 80s and then the 90s, with games being submitted by our players and then chosen by random selection. Going forwards, the plan is to play a game from each letter, A to Z. Last week, we wrapped up Season 7, and our season winner, by the slimmest of margins over Big Juffer, was Graham 10 Shearers. Between seasons, we've generally run a Champion's Choice game, and Graham chose Spy Hunter last week. This is a game I'd heard of, but never played. It turns out that outside of the original hardware, it's a bit of a pain to set up. The original cab had a wheel, pedal, gear lever, and various weapons buttons. I found configuring it to get all of the controls working properly pretty difficult, so I was definitely playing in a suboptimal way. This game also defies genre definitions. It's part racing game and part shmup. I found I could get further by mostly trying to avoid rather than destroy the enemy vehicles, but as you get further they become more aggressive and you likely need to take them out. Unfortunately, this game didn't capture people's imaginations, likely a combination of it being between seasons and the challenge of setting up the controls. We only had 4 scores. Robert put in a token effort, I managed a score of 25,000 after a few runs, Jaffer was a little ahead again with 35,000, but unsurprisingly it was Graham winning this week with 113,000 points. Regarding best and worst games of last season, thanks to everyone who sent me their lists or selections. At the top, I'm probably going to give best games of the season to The Simpsons, but Space Bomber and Gowangi get special mentions too. I love playing The Simpsons, and the Japanese ROM is that little bit more refined, making it a great game to play. Regarding worst game of the season, it can only go to one game, and that's Bang Bang Bollocks. It's not a terrible game, but for a high score challenge, the broken scoring really ruined it. Well done to Graham for the season and this week's win, and that completes Season 7. So let's get on to Season 8. So for the next few seasons, we're going to continue with the game submission and random selection. But now we're doing an A to Z. For week 1, we're obviously beginning with the letter A, and I've had 17 games sent to me. No game proved hugely popular, and none got more than 2 votes. There was a theme that proved pretty popular though, and that was games involving aliens. I've had Alien Syndrome, Alien Storm, Alien vs Predator, and Alien 3 The Gun. Pearl won our last game of last season, which was Gowangi, so his choice of Arbalester is trebled in probability. So let's set things going and see what we get. Okay, it's slowing down. Where's it going to stop? Always going to be Arkanoid. Okay, so I think this is a game for Alex. So Astro Blaster, I think it's kind of a fixed screen shooter. I don't know too much about it. I think it's a pretty old game. I'm guessing, is this like a 79 or 80 game? I'll go look it up, make a video and be back in a sec. So this week's game is Astro Blaster, developed by Gremlin and released by Sega in 1981. I was close to my guess of the year, and it's an early one indeed. The game is a fixed shooter, as was popular in the early 80s, following the success of Space Invaders. A quick play, and I was enjoying myself. There is definitely a fair amount going on. You have a fire button, as you'd expect, but then there is a second button where you can slow everything down for 10 seconds, which you can use once per sector. Additional challenge comes from a temperature gauge on your weapon, which once overheats, won't fire anymore. And then there's a fuel gauge, which when empties, it's game over. Fuel can be refilled by either shooting fireballs or when you redock with the mothership after each sector. Another nice feature of the game is the digitized speech. It certainly adds something. For kicking off the season, I'm hoping this will be a decent one. If it was on the Mister, it'd be perfect, but sadly it isn't yet. Regarding the rules, they are in the description. The key things are that now we'll be running bi-weekly, and I'd like scores in the night before the next video will be out, by 8 PM UK time, so the deadline for scores here will be Tuesday the 19th of October. This challenge will always be using a single credit and no continues, and save states are obviously not allowed. Either pausing or autofire is allowed, so feel free to use those when it makes sense. We also will use a particular ROM. In this case it's the version 3 of the ROM, and we'll usually be using default settings, unless it's specifically mentioned. So I hope you all enjoy playing some Astro Blaster, and I'll be back in a couple of weeks with the scores. See you then.